wanted to start off by starting by thanking everybody for joining us today. We appreciate you taking the time. This webinar is a two-part series. Today, we're going to focus on the X7 functionality, benefits. We'll also touch a little bit on what we do with the scan data afterwards in regard to other softwares, exports, things like that. The second piece will be focused on the X7, or I'm sorry, on the XR10 and Trimble Connect AR, or the mixed reality piece, and I believe that'll happen in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Today, the webinar will be led by Steve Ostrowski of Trimble. I can't say I know exactly what Steve's official title is, but his email, just under his email, or his name and his email, it says laser scanning and mixed reality, which I think satisfies what we're trying to do today. In all seriousness, Steve was a project manager for the X7 and for some of the mixed reality pieces we're going to discuss in this webinar series. So we're in good hands. At the end of this, I'll jump back on and wrap up, ask or answer any questions, follow up, thing like that. But at this point, I'll turn it over to Steve.
Great. Thanks, Corey. Let me make sure I can share my screen. We'll do it this way. So let me present my PowerPoint, and please forgive me. I am using, let's see if we can catch up, a Surface that is a couple of years old, along with a kind of new meeting platform that I actually haven't shared with before. So it looked like that took away what I was trying to show. So give me a second to start presenting. And my graphics cards to catch up with this. We'll see if we can get it going. So we got, you guys should be seeing my desktop, is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. And then let me present my screen, or present my slideshow. And we'll switch this through. So now you can see a presentation, correct?
Yeah, we see it.
All right, great. So this is, I'll give you a little bit of background, but this is the first part of this series. A lot of this is going to be actually primarily based on scanning to collect as-built information. So then you can model. And then after you have that model, you're going to overlay it with your XR10 HoloLens behind me, or AR app, AR being iPhone or Android phones in the last 3 years, or tablets, so you can overlay that as well. For new construction, we'll cover a little bit of that workflow with scanning too. But obviously for new construction, if you have a coordinated model, you can just kind of skip the as-built portion of this, the scanning portion of it, and get straight to overlay. Little bit of background on myself. So I was the product manager for actually the integration between the X7 and FieldLink. FieldLink is what operates our layout solutions, as well as I brought out the hard hat for the first HoloLens kind of partnership we did with Microsoft. Now we make the XR10, which is actually a HoloLens 2 and an ANSI certified hard hat that we partnered with Microsoft to make. The plastic around the lens is still theirs. So kind of always been utilizing and pushing those solutions. They became so easy that I actually thought even I could sell it with my monotone presentation skills, and I can show you guys and hopefully the industry a little bit more of these solutions and how easy they are to get going. So with the X7, I'm going to show you briefly on a quick demo how it actually registers and refines. Again, the X7 is the only solution in the market that will allow you to produce a deliverable from the field that you can bring into AutoCAD, Revit, Tekla, Navisworks, SketchUp. And I'm going to do that and then bring it into those programs and show you how to model with it. And then with the AR app, we're going to actually show you in the next presentation how those overlay in the site for QA/QC out in the field. So what I work for Trimble directly. We call ourselves the Building Construction Field Solutions team. There's a lot of divisions, but these are actually the solutions that our partners at Building Point are the ones that can sell you. A lot of you should recognize our layout solutions. This is really in the last 10 years, 15 years, where we've made our bones. These will allow you to install faster and more accurate rather than using grid lines or pull and shock or whatever. the RTS is going to point you line of sight where to go faster and install quicker. If you are outdoor, you can use GPS and essentially only have to do setup once, and you will be a lot faster with this solution that just came out in the 986. But these solutions all run on top of our FieldLink tablet, right? So we have a couple different tablets, but FieldLink is the software. You can bring in, again, any type of model. Navisworks now, Revit, DWG, TechLive, C, SketchUp, or more importantly, PDFs and 2D flat DWGs as well too, to lay out. Those same models you can actually scan, and the X7 scanner can actually compare back to those models, as well as process all the data that you do when you're collecting your scan. And I'll explain what that processing means. But you can really capture what the as-built condition is to what was designed or what you were given to initially. Scanning and layout, again, sub 16th of an inch, 32nd of an inch accuracy. It's what you're looking at. The mixed reality overlay is more of a, I guess we'll call it a relative accuracy, meaning you can get it down below an inch, but it's not checking back to control. So you can never really guarantee that. It depends on the device you're using for the AR app. It actually will be a little worse depending on device. But it will show you where things are going to clash or hit, essentially where there are blunders out in the field. We also have this new kind of division within us coming up too, is the construction robotics. So that's using Boston Dynamics and partnering with them and their Spot robot to automatically collect scan data. So rather than paying me to go out and walk around and scan, or someone else on your team, Spot will do it for you, which is great for repetitive rounds like utilities or large GC projects like data centers and the likes. So 3D scanning, it's always been about documenting the as-is condition, primarily for renovation and retrofit. So you can treat those projects just like new construction, because if you have all of the field measurements out in the field, you can design and then prefab the component that you're going to install, right? So hopefully it's going to be one fast, easy trip out. Depending on the size of what you're scanning, that may be a couple days, or it may be half a day if you're just replacing a mechanical room or replacing something in a mechanical room like a boiler. Once you document or grab all that information, you never need to hopefully go out there again. And with FieldLink and seeing the scans on the tablet as you go, you know you've collected all the data you need. So a lot of our customers who currently have X7s, unlike the RTSs, which are typically tied to a project, the X7 hops around and moves to different projects, right? So they're getting multiple scans in a week at multiple different projects. Sometimes it's to gather renovation and retrofit information, or they're going to some of the new construction sites to compare back to the model there. So the X7 will pop around a bit more, and it is a lot easier to use than even the layout instruments, because you can generally always fix it later, and you kind of just hit a button. And what I'll show you today is a lot of it is automated as far as scanning and registering. Because the scan can compare back to the model, you can use it in new construction and do an inspection, or a scan to model comparison will actually show you in color how close the as-built is to the model, and give you an indication of where maybe someone installed in the wrong spot. Or if you catch that early enough, you can redesign your prefab and hopefully route around that stuff. It also lets you track progression of construction, and with the X7, it actually has a laser pointer, so you can do layout. One caveat is it is only red laser pointer layout, so you can't switch to Prism, meaning yes, it can do layout, but generally that's inside mechanical room layout. I wouldn't use it on deck. So the specs on the X7, this is kind of a good overview of that. The X7 is the only scanner on the market that will actually truly do a registration and refinement, meaning I'll explain what registration here is in a second and show you, but it'll stitch all those scans together and allow you to produce an RCP if you're going to an Autodesk program. An RCP goes into AutoCAD, Revit, Navisworks, or Recap, which is part of that subscription. So you can view those scan data. It is also the only one that will georeference to a coordinate system or a model, so you can actually place the scans to a model. The X7 is the first optical instrument in the world to do an auto calibration on the unit, so you don't need to send it in to us at Trimble or your dealer to be serviced, because it will calibrate before it scans, saving you about 3 to 5K a year, depending on and shipping cost and time. So it will actually shoot to its base here and do a timing calibration rather than you sending it to us and us putting it on a known benchmark and shooting known targets to do that timing calibration. It also does auto leveling to 3 seconds. So we can do super flat floor analysis. Most scanners out in the field level themselves to a couple minutes. Even our RTSs aren't even that accurate. So the floor analysis for the X7, because of the hardware given by the because of the hardware of the X7, we were able to do super flat floor analysis with Field Link out in the field as well. It'll shoot up to 262 feet in radius direction, so about 500 feet overall, with an accuracy of about 2 mils or less than a 1/16 of an inch accuracy. That being said, you can never shoot 262 feet in a straight line generally on a construction site, so you will pop it around. And as long as there's a little bit of overlap between each scan, they will register together. That's what registration means. Take images. I'll show you a couple of those. They're beautiful. Obviously, if it's dark, your images are going to be dark, but the scan data will still allow you to collect it, because it doesn't matter if it's dark or bright or whatever. Collect anywhere from 12 million to 125 million points in as little as 30 seconds for scan, 2.5 minutes with pictures and the calibration, up to 7 minutes or 11 if you slow it down a bit. It is an IP55 rated instrument, and you can scan from -4 to 120 degrees Fahrenheit. I've had this scanner actually since I was in product, so over 3 years. It does ship with an extended warranty, a 2-year extended warranty, but it is a workhorse, and this guy's been on more airplanes than I would care to admit. So as long as you take relatively decent care of it, meaning it is still a precision instrument, don't kick it over, don't drop it, it'll keep turning. So Field Link, this is important because this is actually part of the demo I'll show you first. Bring in any type of data. What this is going to allow you to do is reference that scan data to a particular coordinate or elevation, so that when you export it to your CAD programs, it pops in the right place. So you're no longer guessing about how do you need to drag it to fit. I love this image because it's actually showing you a PDF with a Tekla steel drawing and a DWG or Naviswork architectural drawing as well. Scan and compare back to all of those. Even compare the models to each other to see if maybe that's where the issue lies. So what does scanning do? What does scanning do for you out in the field? It gets rid of, I guess this is a great example of field measurements, but if you were to miss something here, you'd probably still need to go back out to remeasure, because you're still not going to have the exact measurements if you even do a comparison based on a good scaled image like this where everything kind of is the same. You scan, you have that data in perpetuity, and you can bring it into either Field Link or some of our other free programs to do those field measurements. And then you never need to send out essentially another guy to do that measurement again. And generally the guys you're sending out for these field measurements are the guys who know what they're doing. So it's generally a high cost guy as well. So you can do these basic station view measurements, which is like a measurement from the perspective of the scanner, or you can do kind of the 3D overall, which in this case is at the bottom. It's actually a scan, little section cut of a mechanical room and the pipe here. Then you export, and I would, this is what I generally recommend, especially when we get into the next portion of this, when we bring it into the mixed reality. Export the scan data to your CAD or BIM program, design in your new systems, and then roughly or quickly model some architectural things to help you align and to show that it's aligned well. Don't model everything that is scanned because it's not needed. You're going to design in your new system. If you're getting paid to model everything that's existing, great. That's part of your contract. It's going to take you a little bit longer, but generally the point cloud is what's there, so there's no point in remodeling it. On the top example you're actually seeing is AutoCAD for a pipe system. And so you actually see the full refinery kind of type project along with new designed in pipe there. On the one below that, you're seeing a section cut of some steel and then designing in new HVAC, so it misses different steel components on that ceiling. Again, the other part of this and the fastest workflow, and I'll show you a bit of this live, is in this example here is actually a mechanical room, designing in a new pipe so that it kind of goes through the spaghetti of other existing pipes so that you don't hit anything. You can then make sure that your hangers are in the right spot, tying into steel instead of you having to drill into concrete. And you can prefab this pipe, right? Because you know exactly what the dimensions are, how long they need to be, and you're going to reduce your field cuts, field welds, and just general time on site because you're able to do this and treat it just like a coordinated project. You're able to do this work back in the shop rather than doing it out on the field. That's where scanning saves you a ton of time. The bottom example is actually just a Revit project and running conduit into a junction box at a different elevation than what was designed. So this is actually from a new construction where they installed that at the wrong elevation. They need to prefab some of their electrical conduit to hit this new elevation because it was essentially put in the wrong spot. So you're able to do that and update the prefab model as well. Moving into new construction, you can scan and compare back to the model. Like in this case, this is a 2D DWG drawing where you see actually where the design sleeves are supposed to go for this plumbing example and how they kind of miss here. You can update then as far as the as-builts, and then if you're going through walls or transferring these systems up, you can update the next floor as well too. This scan to model comparison took 4 scans, and comparing probably took about 15 minutes out on site. It's very quick and easy to do. And we'll show you a bit of that. On this example, this is actually a GIF kind of running through the station view of a job at Haymarket Square, a hotel going in. In the green there is the scan data, and then there's the model data also sitting there. And what you're seeing as we get to the end there is actually the scan to model inspection, where everything in light green here is installed within 3/8 of an inch to design. So that's great. But as you move away, you can actually start to see where like the mechanical is essentially not tied down and is anywhere from 3/8 to about an inch out right here in the middle. But what is also showing you here is the fire sprinkler line, which is running right here, is over 2 inches out from where it was designed going down this hallway. That may or may not be a problem, but it's something that you can catch, scan, and compare back to 10 to 15 minutes, depending how many scans you want to do, and update or tell the fire sprinkler guy to move. Another example kind of showing the same thing again, the fire sprinkler guy's at fault here. Is showing you kind of existing where they're running, routing around this existing steel that's here. You can see the red is the design fire sprinkler line. Where they're supposed to do is actually come up in elevation so that there's a little bit of room for this HVAC that's below it. They did not, and so they're going to clash with that where that HVAC is supposed to go. You can actually see if we go back to the video very quickly, they're installing the HVAC. It's sitting on the ground if you're quick enough to see that. And so when they go to install that, they're going to hit this fire sprinkler. So what that allows you to do is catch those problems and then export the scan data, essentially just those little sections of where those issues happen. And then when you share that scan data, either in Navisworks or back in Revit, it'll pop into the right spot, right? And then there's no more guessing where that information is coming from. It pops in the right spot. You can see the steel's in the right spot. You can see the columns are, other trades are in the right spot, but in this location, the fire sprinkler isn't, and compare back to that model. So final thing we're showing you here is just doing the scan to floor analysis, I guess. So scan and then do a floor analysis, showing you high and low spots, and that you can even shoot out with your laser pointer as well. So I think I have about one more or a couple more slides, maybe 1 or 2, and then we'll get into a live demo of the X7. So FieldLink is really made for construction-focused workflows. It's bringing in any type of BIM model and allowing you to lay out or do in-field registration, which you can actually see in this GIF up here. It's those triangles about 60, 70 feet apart, tying together. That's what we call registration on a wet concrete floor in the middle here. And it's actually showing you the elevation of that floor actually sloping down a little bit as well. but it's also tying back to that coordinate system or model and georeferencing it. So when I go to export this data or share it, when someone else brings that into a project, AutoCAD or Revit, it pops into the right location. So it really is the full SCAN to BIM solution. A little bit of what we offer. So the X7 comes with a T100 tablet or T10 tablet like this, and FieldLink. This is really all you need to do the, I guess, basic scan, bring it into Revit or AutoCAD and design in those platforms, or scan and bring it into Tekla and SketchUp. You can do a bit more with RealWorks. You can actually do some automated modeling for pipe and steel, as well as mesh that I'll show you hopefully at the end here if my graphics card cooperates and we have a little bit of time at the end of the hour. Or you can bring it into SketchUp and do basic modeling. I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about those when we kind of open those programs up. We also allow you to share this data with your customers and actually have your own platform with Cloud Engine where you can push the data up to a server, and anyone with an online link can view it. And then you can share that URL with anyone or kind of restrict it as you please. And they can view a light point cloud because it's not going to be the full data. Again, point clouds are heavy data sets. There's a lot of information there. But it's going to kind of dumb it down a little bit, but you can still take basic point measurements within there. It's good for sharing back to your customers. So with that, I am done with a little bit of the presentations, and we're going to hopefully work into a little bit of a live demo. Give me 1 second. Maybe I can get this to stop sharing. I will share again once I'm able to figure out where everything is. We got a couple people online. As we go, if you want to, you can also post in a couple more questions as well. Let's see if this will work. I have to restart the program, and hopefully my sharing will catch back up. Just give me 1 second. And come on, graphics card. We'll hopefully catch up here in a second. We'll let it think for a little bit. You should be seeing my screen now. And then let me make sure I can open up the program. I'm trying to make sure it's viewing. Kind of sometimes it gets confused with the multiple screens. Oop. I didn't like that, so we're going to try and do this one more time, and I'll just open it up while sharing the screen. So what I'm trying to open now is FieldLink. FieldLink typically runs, and this program always runs on your desktop, or on your, oh, it did not like the other monitor, so maybe that is it. Oh. So it just completely killed the extended monitor. We're gonna disconnect it real quick and see if we can just share via just this. So we have one question come through, which is good because it'll hopefully allow me to get back and start this again. Does the differential between the BIM model and your scan show us in real, like, calculate automatically? Do you have to register part of the scans with the different trades? So you can line up your model, and hopefully now we have this. Line up your model a couple different ways, your scans with your model in a couple different ways. One is to do a traditional resection like you would with your RTS, and that'll actually give you an error of the alignment. The camera's powered on. it'll give you, essentially it'll overlay it with a known accuracy, just like your RTS and doing layout, or you can manually pull it and align it, which I'll show you here in a second, which is generally what I train people to do. If you ever need to, you can always go back later and line up with the model or resection with the scan and line the rest of the scans up with that resection, essentially tying it into coordinate system with a known accuracy. Let's see if this is going. Choose virtual background video settings. It looks like my camera kind of got lost too. So give me 1 second to try and get my video back on. We have our headset together. Back. Oh, maybe it killed everything. No, we're still good there. So give me 1 second. I'm gonna try and. Oh no, I'm hoping I can get my my camera running, because I wanted to do a live demo. But if we can't do a live demo with the video, it will still be a live demo. You just will have to remember kind of what the room looked like I was sitting in, which is certainly okay as well. Oh man, that's always fun. So we'll give it a couple more seconds. While that's actually uploading, I will show you a little bit of what it looks like as far as sharing your Cloud Engine, or sharing your data through Cloud Engine. It looks like everything's kind of popping off on me. So this is a, looks like nothing's showing up. Try one more time. Even that's not working. So I'm going to stop sharing and see if I can actually reconnect and project my screen one more time. Give me just a second. It's already running. There we go. And hopefully we can get this up and running here in a second. Sorry about the technical difficulties. It does tend to happen when you're doing a live demo. And if it doesn't, we're gonna come back through here and hopefully get it back up and running one more time. And in about another minute, if I can't get it running, I do have some slides on the backup that we'll actually go through and show you kind of what it looks like for those. So we're going to give it one more shot. If that doesn't work, we will switch it back to slides, which is unfortunate, but it's what happens every once in a while. Another question come through. How does the X7 compare to more competitively priced scanners on the market, such as the Leica BLK 360? What does the X7 do better than those? So the BLK 360 is an intro level scanner. Generally, it's the accuracy of the X7. It compares the X7 more compares with the RTC 360. But the X7 does all these workflows in the field. So it does, with other scanners on the market, you will collect, they will say they will register, but you will actually have to go back to a, and we'll get back to just actually sharing the slides. You will have to get back to a registration software back on the back in the office, so you can actually deliver what you've collected out in the field back there. So that's generally where the workflow is a lot better, especially with the georeferencing. You're able to do that live. you're able to do it out in the field. Generally with those other scanners, you would still need to georeference or put targets up and do kind of an RTS workflow as well. Whereas the X7 is doing it all together. You can either resection with the X7 or you can manually place it to the model as well. We're going to jump down to my bottom screen here to show you a little bit of what that looks like, because my machine is not participating with me right now. So the automatic registration is actually, if you look at this top one, will happen about 80% of the time. It will tie those two scans together. What I was hoping to do here was actually scan behind me. My video card shut out at the same time, and then move it over and let it scan again. Walk you through the process and show you kind of what it looks like as it's scanning, which is it'll do the automatic leveling and the automatic calibration. Before it scans, it'll turn around and then it'll collect another scan very quickly. As it's turning around, it'll actually collect a scan. It'll turn around one more time to collect images as well. The other thing you can do is for the, I'd say roughly 20% of the time, it will fail in the automatic. You can manually register scans together. By simply telling it what orientation to go in, like you see in this GIF image right here, and then hitting register. You can do that a couple different ways, either like you see here or with a scan to scan image comparison where you tell it which point in each scan you're trying to get it to register. These are kind of what other solutions on the market will do, which is just scan 1 goes back to scan 2, scan 3 goes back to scan 2, et cetera, kind of one-off registration. The one thing that FieldLink and the X7 does that nothing else in the market does is it refines those scans together and will actually allow you to do a comparison of those like you see here. This is actually a refinement of the project I was hoping to show you, where you can see there are 23 scans. The average error of those connecting together would be about 3.5 millimeters, or another way of thinking that is a scan from, or an error from scan 1 to scan 23, you would have an average error of about 3 mils in there, and it'll tell you where you roughly have some poor stitching together, as well as where you may need to scan a little bit more as well too. Finally, georeferencing. This is something that nothing else on the market will do, which is you can use the laser pointer to tie the scan into control. Just like an RTS, by shooting it to 2 known control points or 2 known grid lines like you're seeing here. This is actually the laser being drawn to that. And then it'll calculate an error of setup, and the rest of the scans within that project will tie back into it as well too. Now, this was actually what I generally will train people on doing it. Rather than doing the resection every time, you can manually pull the scan to the model to, hopefully, if it's a relatively right angle building, or if you have steel up, you can have this hopefully aligned to 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, which is going to be a lot faster of a workflow and a lot faster of comparison. If you do question this, you can always come back later and resection to control points and tie these other scans back into that resection as well too, but this is going to save you a bit of time. What it's going to produce is something like this, which is on your top is actually a perspective of the scan and model together. But on the bottom is actually kind of what the scanner produces in the station view. This is going to allow you to do basic field measurements like you see here on the tablet in the field, or you can bring these measurements back into AutoCAD, which I'll show you here in a second as well too. The images that will be collected from the X7 scanner are really nice if the lighting's right. You do not need lighting to collect good scan data, but then you can compare back to the model as well, right? So we covered a bit of that. So after you're done collecting the scans, your 30, 40, couple hundred scans, however many you did, you would then export it. Let me see if I have one more down here showing you the export type. But you're going to export it as an RCP if you're going to Autodesk or Recap, or Revit, or AutoCAD, or Navisworks, or if you do want to open it in Recap, you can as well. That's what the RCP program is for. If you're going to any Trimble products, generally you're going to go as a TDX or a TZF. Those are the more compressed file formats. I generally will recommend FieldLink Office, although it looks like Zoom has kind of killed it for now until I probably need to restart. It will allow you to export larger files and do a little bit more kind of mouse control. A little bit easier on your desktop computer. So if you're going to export to an RCP, that is a large file program, and it will take a little bit of time to export. If you're going to Revit or AutoCAD, one way to help with that is actually to do a section box like you see here. This is actually a section box of the data turned on. This is when it's turned off, so it'll send everything. But if you do a section box, it'll essentially cut the export time in half and the file size in half. If you go to Recap though, that section box, if you have it turned on, will actually make it so that the station view or the kind of real view images aren't there either. If you go to any other program, pretty much any other CAD or registration program, they will accept E57 or LAS. You used to be able to bring these into Revit and AutoCAD as well, but in 2018, they actually switched. So, or 2020, 2018 was the last one. You can only bring in an RCP to Revit and AutoCAD now. Again, as you get a scanner or the X7, finding the most efficient way to transfer this, you will figure it out. I generally would say it's good to start off on actually even a smaller project so that you're not constantly waiting and perhaps doing something less efficiently, just because you don't know. If you can start on a smaller project, a lot of times you'll be a lot more efficient as you get to those bigger ones. You export to the local drive or to the tablet and then transfer to a thumb drive or directly to a fast writing thumb drive, and then upload that to your server as you choose. So that's what the export looks like. How does it look like to bring into, I guess, your different programs? So this is going to be your modeling programs, and really what we're going to start with in the next 20 minutes, this is going to be where I actually created a model of my house here that I'm sitting in. House is built in the 1890s. This is going to be what we then use to overlay with the XR10 and with the AR app as well. I used RealWorks for some of this. I will show you that a little bit, mostly for meshing. I then exported an RCP and did some piping in Revit. In AutoCAD, I did some basic actually floor plan extraction, because you can do some nice automatic line detection within AutoCAD. And then finally, I brought it into Navisworks, but obviously I wasn't modeling there. I was just doing a bit of a comparison. Recap is nice because you can actually do the station views, which you can do in RealWorks as well or within FieldLink. But it's a better program to do more precise measurements, and a lot of people will do that. It also comes with your Autodesk subscription, so you're already paying for it, so you can get to use that. Finally, a lot of what I did modeling in is SketchUp, because what SketchUp will allow you to do is bring in someone's already completed model or components within that to align. And I did that for the basic furniture within my house, and then Tekla for basic kind of structural or concrete steel modeling. So RealWorks, if we play this video here, here we go. What you're seeing and what you can do in RealWorks is advanced registration. So while my house is fairly small and there's only about 40 scans, if I'm doing multiple floors, a lot of times I want to actually send the data to RealWorks, because it'll help me refine it and register large projects a little bit better. When you get above a couple hundred scans, generally RealWorks will do that better. The next thing you'll see is it can actually do automatic piping, like you see here in the video. It'll do that you can have it automatically run, or you can do those lines like you see here. And I did that with my boiler and the exhaust point below. The other thing you can do in RealWorks, which is really nice for fast modeling, is meshing. So on the boiler here, it's really old. There's not a model of it. I didn't want to completely model in Revit or in AutoCAD. That would take too long. There's no point in doing it. So what I can do here is create a mesh of those components, or even of the full model, and export that as a basic BIM or CAD kind of component, and then bring that into the XR10 or into the AR app. So if I'm going to move this or have it somewhere else, I don't want to model it completely, I can mesh it And then if I'm moving it in real life, I can actually move that within the model and have a complete component of it as well. If I go directly to Revit with that RCP form, I can send just a section view, and then I'm just going to drop it in with an internal origin. Because the coordinate system has already been set correctly, it'll come in the right spot in Revit. I can use the correct section views as well. And then I can even start to model off that point cloud as well. So very easy to bring RCP data into Revit. You just need to make sure you have it saved locally. And actually with all scan data, it is good to have it on your C drive or wherever you run it, and it'll pop in very easily. Again, another example showing you bringing scan data into AutoCAD, which again, because it's in the right spot, if I have it on the relative path, it's been aligned with the model, it'll pop in the right spot. I can then model to that scan data. With Revit, you're going to use plan views a lot, and then some of these section planes. With AutoCAD, you can again use section planes and even do line extraction based on the point cloud you're seeing. So it'll actually help you do basic floor plan drawings as well. If you just do a horizontal slice, it'll actually start to draw lines in off the point clouds that it can see, and then give you a basic floor plan as well. Another video showing you here is Navisworks. This is great for your coordination meeting. Navisworks is a lot like, I actually compare it more to viewing the point cloud in Recap because it shows the RCP very well. Like you can see here, you can actually do very good measurements within it as well, and do a comparison back to the model as well too. Finally, we have Recap. Recap, you're not going to bring in the model. This is the Autodesk registration program. So you can use this for larger registration as well, but you will have a tough time of it. But what you can do in Recap, which is nice, it's kind of like FieldLink where you can do basic measurements a little bit better as well too. And you can clean up the data. So here you can actually start to clip out other noise if you don't want to see that. So another video is showing you actually export of the scan data to Tekla. Again, with Tekla or with any of the Trimble programs, what's nice is you can send the TZFs or the compressed or zipped scan files from TFL, so it'll be easier to transfer that. You then bring them into Tekla, and just like in Revit or AutoCAD, the point cloud is kind of a layer, and you can start to design, like you see here, concrete footers or columns as well to that. So if I'm going to add on a massive new building to the front of my house, I can do that as well too. Now, primarily what I do suggest is if you are going with a scan to mixed reality because you want to market kind of your services or what you could do for a client, I'd actually encourage you to get SketchUp. SketchUp is a very easy modeling program that just about anyone can get running. And you can bring in the scan data like you see here with the section cut, and then bring in already created model components. Like you can see, I'm actually dropping a radiator in this video that I pulled in off the warehouse for free, just to represent where it sits when I bring it into my HoloLens. Because that radiator isn't going to move. That's how we heat our house. I'm going to have one placed in my office here, and then I'm going to have one placed in the kitchen. And then I'm going to actually have to I would design my kitchen and have design a renovation of my kitchen. I know that's not going to move, but I can have that sitting there and then have a kind of new design kitchen as well that I overlay. It'll allow you to quickly model something fairly well. It's not going to be constructible within, because SketchUp is not Revit or is not AutoCAD, but you can generally get 3D components in a pretty good model very quickly to show that. So with that being said, that is the end of my slides. I'm going to hopefully, we'll see if everything, if we can get everything to kind of cooperate with my programs now that it's still not letting me show videos, but I'm actually going to show you how to do some modeling in RealWorks and then hopefully some modeling in Revit. And it looks like, no, we're going to try that one more time. Everything I opened up right before it seems like it kind of crashed when I went to share. Try and stop sharing and then see if that'll allow me to do it one more time. Well, give me one more second. So if it does not happen, the live demo posted actually a couple share a couple of videos of it later of what that'll look like for the extraction within RealWorks. And if I can't get either RealWorks or SketchUp to open, I guess those videos will have to work, because I think I'm going to be honest, I think it killed my entire machine when I went to present these a couple times. So hopefully those short GIF videos were enough to kind of get you started. I will share a couple videos of actually how I modeled with this later, kind of longer videos, kind of talking you through what I was doing modeling. Close to what those GIF videos were, but slowed down, a little more annotated. But I kind of looks like I'm going to need to restart my machine before I start to show anyone anything, because everything seems to be kind of done on my machine. With that being said, any other questions we have in here that you guys have within that? Because I'm not going to be able to, looks like, to show a little bit more of that. And if not, look for those videos later. Hopefully we'll send that up. And maybe, Nick, do you know when the part 2 of this video is, which is really the mixed reality overview?
For 2 weeks, so after Thanksgiving.
Right after Thanksgiving. All right, great. We'll make sure I have a little more video, but that'll be hopefully another live demo. If not, I will have recordings like I do here, just in case everything does go bad, showing you how I, like those slides show you, where I was able to model from the scan data and then live to go walk around with that set up. In RealWorks, can you set an origin? So we have a new question from John. In RealWorks, can you set an origin on the registration tab? This is where your 0, would be in Revit. Once you pick that point, to set the origin is the way to move it so that it's outside the building. So John, you can set that origin in FieldLink. You can actually create a 0, point and then move your scans relative to it. So if you wanted to set that 0, point later, you would just move the scans up. You can do that in RealWorks as well. In the georeferencing tab, there is a base point where you can click a scan point and call that, essentially update its coordinate. So it could be whatever you scan at, it'll be whatever coordinate it comes in at as you reference it. And then you can actually set it back to 0, and change your orientation. I would tell you it is a lot easier to do that in FieldLink than it is any other program, because you can manually pull the scans either to a model, or you can create a 0, point and pull and fit to that. That'll also let you set the azimuth as well too. How quickly does the accuracy X7 drop off beyond its design scan distance? Is the accuracy have to double the distance? So the X7, that's a good question. The range accuracy is about 2 millimeters. It does, past 60 meters, it will decrease a little bit, and it does depend on the surface. But in general, the time of flight scanners that are either the X7 or the TX hold their accuracy very well throughout the entire range of the scanner. For the TX series, we actually just put a limit, so it wouldn't get worse than 2 millimeters or 1 if you had that, as far as it went. The X7 does get slightly worse, but not noticeably, up to about 60 meters. So it does hold it very well. Whereas with other scanners, phase-based scanners, you will see it gets a lot worse the farther you move away. The X7, because it is time of flight, still holds on to it. It's not quite as good as our higher end level scanners, but in general, it's still very, very good. Any more questions? If there isn't, we're sorry for the technical difficulties. Hopefully you guys can forgive me for that. We will be doing this again, hopefully another live demo. And we will have some videos that we'll share out with how the modeling works as well too.
Okay, I think we're good. As Steve said, apologize for the technical difficulties. It's tough to do these webinars with Steve having 7 different programs trying to run. I hope you guys understand that. But as he also said, that this product and this software is pretty intuitive, pretty easy to use, and we would love to come show it to you either in person or set up a one-on-one with us at Building Point and Steve as well. So please reach out if you want to see more than that. We're happy to come see you, and look for the invite for the second piece of this, which will be on the mixed reality XR10 and AR tools. And that's about it, and enjoy the rest of your day.